Shalom, Israel. It is us once again, the Israelites, not the Equalites. We keep God's law, statutes, and commandments. We're above all people on the face of the earth. We have our lesson this evening that's entitled Teaching the Israelite Children. It's a neglected subject that has been neglected by a lot of the camps. And I feel like we need to start to putting a little bit more emphasis on how we teach our youth. And like I say, the lesson today is teaching the Israelite children. We have our sister, Hanaya, with us today.
Israelite, shalom.
As well as our brother, Yoram, he's with us today as well.
Shalom, Israel.
And I am the prophet Shem. You know, a lot of times we wonder why things happen to our children, why they're dying so young, why they are out on the streets at 15 and 16 years old, homeless, on drugs. And, you know, a lot of it has to do with children having children. It also has to do with the parents not taking the initiative to really teach their children because they're too busy worried about their boyfriends or their girlfriends or whichever comes first. But the children should come first because they are us tomorrow. And we need to be adequate teachers as to how we need to teach our children, regardless what the heathen say, regardless what the other nations say. There is a code that the Israelites should have as far as teaching their children, because it's all throughout the Bible. And it's only for the Israelites. It is not for anyone else. So without any other interruptions or anything, we're going to let our brother Yoram, he's going to get us going today.
Proverbs chapter 22, verse 6. Train up a child in the way he should go, and when he is old, he will not depart from it.
It says train up our child in the way that he should go. And when he get grown and everything out on his own and become a man or a woman, he won't turn away from it. He might get off track every now and then or whatever the case may be, but he'll always have that teaching to fall back on when the times get tough. You don't have to jump on the phone every 5 or 6 minutes to call mom or call dad, because he has already had the teaching. He already knows what the remedies are for him to be able to get, or her to be able to get out of the situation that they're in. And so that's why it's very, very important for us to make sure that we teach our children. We got to teach the nation of what? Israel. We got to teach them. They haven't been taught. That's why they're out there like wild bulls in the net today, because they're not being taught. It's high time that we start teaching our children so that we can see what? The positive things from our fruits. And so that's what we need to do. Let's get it together, Israel. I'm pleading, I'm begging with you this evening that we will start to teaching our children the right way. And that is the word of God. That is the law, statutes, and commandments. Read what you got, sister.
Ephesians chapter 6, verse 4.
Read.
And ye fathers, provoke not your children to wrath, but bring them up in the nurture and admonition of the Lord.
Bring them up in the counsel and the authority of God. You see, don't cause your children to be angry. See, when you start to doing the thing that you're supposed to do, parent, keeping the law, statutes, and commandments, it'll keep you on an even keel. It'll keep you where you won't be getting off into argumentative situations with your children. And then that calls you not to what? Be able to be a teacher. Because now what? They're losing respect for you. Why they're losing respect for you? Because you're not handling things the way that you're supposed to be handling them. The children looks at you, parents. Regardless what anybody say about people out on the streets being the role model, the children always look at the parents first. because those are the ones that they are around most of the time. Read that again, sister.
Ephesians chapter 6, verse 4. And ye fathers.
And you know what? When it says you fathers, it's talking to you mothers as well. Read.
Provoke not your children to wrath, but bring them up in the nurture and admonition of the Lord.
Bring them up in the way that the Lord. Bring them up that way. See, we got to bring them up in the counsel and the authority of God. And what are those? Those are God's words. Those are God's laws, statutes, and commandments. He's telling us that we got to teach our children. So when they get older, they can teach their children. That's right. Because he gave us these, commandments as a what? As a heritage. And so a heritage is something that is always passed down throughout the generations. They always pass down because why? It belongs to you and nobody else. You don't give anybody else your heritage, and then you don't neglect your heritage where your kids would tarry away from God, where they won't be up under the counsel and the authority of the Most High. And see, that's what's happening now. They have no relationship with God because they are not taught God when in their youth. So how are you going to be able to teach someone when they're grown when you didn't teach them in their youth? And you cannot be lackluster. You have to be stern on this teaching. You got to be straight up with this teaching. You can't let this teaching outdo you. You got to continue to be consistent with this teaching on a daily basis. Yes. You can't tarry away from it, Israel, because when you do, you start losing interest. And we want to always keep them interested because that's how you be able to get to these young people. You got to keep them interested. You got to teach with a style that will make it more inviting for them to want to be able to hear the word. And you got to be able to put this truth in the way that God wants you to put it in, because you can't neglect these children and want to go to the nightclub. Want to worry about what your boyfriend or your girlfriend doing. Want to know if you're going to be on time for work. Make sure your children are being taught properly. That's right. Read.
Proverbs chapter 29, verse 15.
Read, brother.
The rod and reproof gave wisdom, but a child led to himself bringeth his mother to shame.
Read that again, brother.
Proverbs chapter 29, verse 15. The rod and reproof.
The rod and what?
Reproof.
Read.
Give wisdom.
Give what?
Give wisdom.
The rod and the reproof give wisdom.
But a child led to himself bringeth his mother to shame.
You see, it say the rod and the reproof. The reproof is what? The disapproval of the thing that a child. You let them know what you don't approve of. You see? And then you don't leave your child unattended. You don't leave your child at home all the time by themselves. You see what I'm saying? Because when you do those kind of things, but they the rod and the reproof give wisdom. See? What that rod? When you get the whooping on them, when you get the chastising them, because you love them the same way that our God has chastised us for all this time because of our disobedience. And we have to be the same way with our children, because read that again for me, brother.
Verse 15. The rod and reproof.
The rod and reproof
give wisdom.
It gives what?
Give wisdom.
Read.
But a child led to himself.
But a child that is left by himself. What do it mean? That a child that's there to raise his own self. That nobody is there in authority over that child. So he has to go on his what? On his own experience, his own understanding and stuff. Because he's left there alone. Read.
Bringeth his mother to shame.
And it'll make you shame. It'll make you shame of your child. Because your child is going to come up in a way where it's like he's going to be the laughing stock of everybody that he come into contact with or she come into contact with. Because what? They haven't been taught adequately. They have been what? Neglected. They have been what? They haven't been taught the way that they are supposed to be taught, because parents have other interests at hand other than their children. Read.
Proverbs chapter 23, verse 13.
Read, sister.
Withhold not correction.
Withhold what?
Not correction.
Withhold not correction
from the child.
For
if thou beatest him with the rod, he shall not die.
See, if you put some licks on that boy or that girl's butt, on that girl or that boy's behind, they ain't gonna die. Nope. I got whoopings. Yep. I'm sure Anaya has gotten whoopings before as well. It's about being corrected. You see, but the system today has what? A conspiracy that's going on against the youth today. They want our youth to continue to go astray, where we will be lost, where they won't know what it is that they should be doing. And then what's going to happen? They're going to kill them. They're going to put them in prison, or they're going to be out there on drugs. One of the three. They're going to be on drugs, in prison, or they're going to be dead. And that's what they want. They want our children to be killed. They don't want our children to be taught properly. They don't want our children to be what? Have wisdom, knowledge, and understanding. Because when you teach that to the children, don't matter how old they are, wisdom, knowledge, and understanding does not have an age. Wisdom, knowledge, and understanding shows an action that you have been taught by a parent that is in this truth. Yeah. You see, that's what we have to do. We can't spare that rod. We can't just say, okay, well, I'm going to overlook this. Because when you overlook things in their youth, how are you going to be able to correct them when they advance in life? When they become older, how are you going to be able to deal with them? Because now they're grown. Now they can make their own decisions. That's why the other scriptures that was being read, that if you bring a child up the right way, as he get older, he won't tarry away from his teachings. And that's what the Bible is telling us. We have to prepare our children for the tough times. Yes. Read.
Deuteronomy chapter 6, verse 7.
Read, brother.
And thou shalt teach them diligently.
Read.
Unto thy children.
Until thy children.
And shall talk of them when thou sittest in thy house.
When you're at home, read.
And when thou walkest by the way.
When you leave.
And when thou liest down. And when thou risest up.
When thou rises up. When they go to sleep, they're supposed to be meditating on this word. That's right. When they wake up, they're supposed to be meditating on this word, because it says meditate on these words day and night. Read that one more time for me, please, brother.
Deuteronomy chapter 6 and verse 7. And thou shalt teach them diligently.
Teach them diligently. Take your time. Don't rush through. Make sure that what it is that you're teaching them, that they are understanding it. Because you can say something out of your mouth just to pass the time. But you got to take your time to teach these children where they can understand what it is that you're telling them. So that when they get older, they can understand reading comprehension. You have to train up a child in the right way. Read on, brother.
Unto thy children. And shall talk of them when thou sittest in thy house.
When you're sitting around in the house, instead of you letting them play PlayStation games, you letting them be all on the telephone, on the cell phones and everything. You got them letting sitting up in there watching the TV shows and all this stuff. You should be doing what, brother? Read that again.
Unto thy children, and shall talk of them. When thou sittest.
When thou sittest in the house, when they're doing nothing, when they're idle, read.
In the house, and when thou walkest by the way.
And when you're going out that house, they're going to have those commandments in their mind. You know what I'm saying? Where they won't forget. They can be alert. They can be aware of their surroundings and everything. Read.
And when thou liest down,
And when you get ready to lay down and go to sleep,
and when thou risest up,
and when thou get up, constantly, consistently, all the time, meditate day and night on this word. It is for your good. It is so that you can have good success. It is so that you can have what? A long life. Instead of you reading the papers about our young brothers and sisters always laying out there in the street dead. 16, 17 years old. They got guns and they out there killing one another. And they don't have any care for anyone's life, not even their own life. You got people scared to even walk in their own neighborhood because our crazy kids out there, they haven't been taught what they should be taught. To love, to care for your Hebrew brothers and sisters. And so they don't care about nobody's life, not even their own. But we got to teach them what thus says our God Yahweh. Am I right? That's what we got to do. We have to teach them. Hey, let them continue to go astray. Because when we continue to let them grow astray, when we look around in the next 20, 25 years, we won't have no young people. They're going to all be destitute. We want our children to flourish, to have long life. We don't want them to have to go through unnecessary things. That's why we're supposed to be teaching them so that they can take some shortcuts from instead we teach them the experiences that we've gone through with the word of God.
That's right.
So that he can what? Sanctify them with this truth, because this word right here is the truth. Read.
Proverbs chapter 13, verse 24.
Read, sister.
He that spareth his rod,
He that spares from whooping that child's butt. Read.
hateth his son,
They do what, sister?
hateth his son,
Uh-huh.
but he that loveth him,
Uh-huh.
chasteth him betimes.
Betimes. You do it early. Don't wait till it's too late. Don't wait till they're too old. Do it right when they're young, when they are what? Ready to be taught.
Yes.
When that mind is ready to be taught. Because when you let them start to going out here in this world and then coming back without being taught, how are you going to be able to teach them when everything around them seems right? Because what? They haven't had any correction at home. Read that again, please, sister.
Proverbs chapter 13, verse 24.
Read.
He that spareth his rod,
If you don't chastise your children,
hateth his son,
you hate your children.
but he that loveth him, chasteth him betimes.
But if you love your children, you're going to chastise them. You're going to correct them. You're going to show them what the disapproval is. You see? But the white man is telling you that you can't do that because they don't want your children to be able to be, what they're supposed to be. They want your children to be prey so they could be in prison houses. See what I'm saying? Dead or on drugs. One of the three. In prison, dead or on drugs. Well, let me add that homeless in there as well. Because a lot of parents, they are what? One paycheck away from being homeless themselves. Because we are still in captivity. And we have to start learning how to maneuver in Esau's kingdom. Because if you don't know how to maneuver in Esau's kingdom, how are you going to be able to withstand the woes of the devil to be able to handle it when your kingdom comes? Read.
Proverbs chapter 29, verse 17.
Read, brother.
Correct thy son.
Wait a minute. What did the Bible say?
Correct thy son,
The Bible says, correct thy son.
and he shall give thee rest. Yea, he shall give delight unto thy soul.
You see, gonna make you proud of him. You see, it's not hard, Israel. Read that again, my brother.
Verse 17. Correct thy son.
Wait a minute. What did the Bible just say again, brother? Do what now?
Correct thy son,
Correct thy son or thy daughter. Read.
and he shall give thee rest.
You ain't gonna be having to worry about him time he go out the house. You ain't gonna have to be worried about him because you already know what his character is, because you've taught him the correct way. Read.
Yea, he shall give delight unto thy soul.
Like I say, if you teach your child the way they are, it's already tough when they go out, they may not come back in. That's why you got to teach them so they can learn how to what? Make right decisions. Know how to conduct themselves when they get out there in this docile world that we live in today. And also what? So they can what? Make us proud of them. See, because when they make when they make us proud, it's a thing to let us know that we are doing something right, that we are teaching our children right, that we are taking the time out for our children. That's what we need to do. Have patience to be able to teach our children so they can have long life. Read.
Psalms chapter 127, verse 3.
Read.
Lo, children are an heritage.
Wait a minute. What did the Bible just say, sister?
Lo, children are an heritage.
Children are a heritage
Of the Lord. And the fruit of the womb. Is his reward.
See, that's a reward for you. When God bless you to be able to have children, do you know how many women or how many men that's out here today that can't have children, but want children, but can't have them? But then you have an opportunity and God bless you with children. Read that one more time, please.
Psalms 127, verse 3. Lo, children are heritage of the Lord.
Of who?
Of the Lord.
Read.
And the fruit of the womb.
And the fruit of the womb.
Is his reward.
Is his reward.
4. As an arrow are the slack. As arrow are in the hand of a mighty man. As an arrow are in the hands of a mighty man. So our children are of the youth.
See? Are of their youth. You got to teach them from their youth. You are mighty, just like an arrow is in the hands of a mighty man. Them children in their youth supposed to be in your hand, and you supposed to be a mighty man because what? You supposed to be teaching them the laws, the statutes, and the commandments. You see? Stop letting these white folks tell you what you can and cannot do with your children, because if you're doing it like an Israelite brother or sister supposed to do, then you ain't got to worry about your child running and call the police on you. You ain't got to worry about your child running out of the house hollering about they're going to go call the police on you because you whooped them. That's why you have to give them thus says the word of the Most High and explain to them who is the head of everyone's life so they can be obedient to these words from their youth. So when they get older, they'll know how to apply it for themselves as well as their children as well. Read.
Verse 5. Happy is the man that hath his quiver full of them. They shall not be ashamed.
You shall not what?
Be ashamed. But they shall speak with the enemies in the gate.
See, we ain't got to worry about them peckerwoods and crackers, whatever you want to call them. See, because we're going to do what thus says our God Yahweh. He knows best. And he would get us out of whatever situation it is when we do it the way that he says that we should do it. Because when we do it the way other people tell us that we should do it, our children end up dead. Our children end up being killers. Our children end up being in gangs, hating one another. Our children end up in prison. Our children end up dead. Our children are not going to be able to keep the generations going on because their seed is dead. Because what? They're in prison. Some of them go to prison forever and not ever be able to get out. How can they reproduce? So it's all kind of ways that they are using crafty counsel to destroy Israel. Read.
2 Timothy chapter 3 and verse 16.
Read, brother.
All scripture is given by inspiration.
All scriptures are given by what, brother?
Inspiration.
By inspiration.
Of God.
Of who?
Of God.
You listen, see, all scriptures are given by inspiration of God. Read.
And is profitable for doctrine. For reproof.
Reproof. It's what? It's letting them know that you disapprove of a lot of things that they're doing. Read.
For correction.
For correction.
for instruction
For instruction
in righteousness.
in what?
Righteousness.
And the righteousness we know is the law, statutes, and commandments. In the book of Deuteronomy 6:25. Read that again, brother. Let's let Israel hear that again.
2 Timothy chapter 3 and verse 16.
Read.
All scripture is given by inspiration
All scriptures are given by inspiration. Read.
of God
Uh-huh.
and is profitable
Uh-huh.
for doctrine,
Uh-huh.
for reproof,
Read.
for correction,
For correction.
for instruction
Uh-huh.
in righteousness.
On how to live right. On how keeping these laws, statutes, and commandments so you can have a long life. So you can have good success. That's what this is. Let's get it together, Israel. Let's start to teaching our children the way that God tells us, because this right here is instruction from God in reproof, in correction, in righteousness. You see, if we teach the way God tell us to teach, then our children would be better today, and they will have a better opportunity to have success in this wicked, evil kingdom that we call America. Read.
Proverbs chapter 19, verse 18. Chasten thy son while there is hope, and let not thy soul spare his crying.
Wait a minute. What did the Bible say, sister? Read that again.
Proverbs chapter 19, verse 18. Chasten thy son while there is hope,
while he's young,
and let not thy soul spare his crying.
See, just because he crying and weeping and all this and stuff, and you feeling sorry for him, you can't do that, because it's going to be good for him for tomorrow. Do we have a comment?
Yeah, I can't see it.
What does it say?
Can't see it from here.
I have a question. Is the Revelations chapter 1, verse 13?
Revelation chapter what?
1 and 13.
1 and 13?
Yeah.
And in the midst of the 7 candlesticks, one like unto the Son of Man, clothed with a garment down to the foot, and girts about the paps, with a golden girdle. That is talking about our Savior, Yahushua. It's getting ready to explain and show proof of his color, that he's a so-called black man from the tribe of Judah, that it speaks about in the book of Hebrews, chapter 7 and verse 14. And so that's what it's talking about and everything. Okay, let's move on, brothers and sisters. Where are we?
We just finished Proverbs 19.
Okay, read that again.
Proverbs chapter 19, verse 18.
Read.
Chasten thy son.
Chastise thy son. Whoop him, beat him up. I don't mean like literally beat him up, but whoop him.
While there is hope.
Why there's hope? What it means why there's hope? Why he's still young to be attentive. Why his ears is not corrupt to what's going on out there in the world. Read, sister.
And let not thy son spare his crying.
And let not thy soul spare his crying. Don't feel sorry for him.
Yeah.
Because it's going to be helpful for him tomorrow. It might hurt you to see your child crying, and you may have pity on him, but you got to stand tall and be strong through it all, because that's going to help him. Because when he get out there in the street, that white man, that whoever it is out there, they're not going to take no pity on him. When he's going through what he's going through, and they see he might be dropping a tear or something going on with him, he might have some situation going on, they're not going to care. They're going to put their foot on his neck.
Yeah.
So you better make sure that you teach him. As you teach him, have that rod so you can be able to correct him. That's why it says why there's hope, while he's still young. Because when they get older, You're not going to be able to do anything with them because you got 12, 13-year-old kids. They controlling the household now. They beating the parents up. They controlling the household. They acting like they grown. Read.
Isaiah chapter 54 and verse 13.
Read, brother.
And all thy children.
And all thy who?
And all thy children.
And all thy children.
Shall be taught of the Lord.
They shall be taught of what, brother?
Of the Lord.
They shall be taught of the Lord. Read.
And great shall be the peace of thy children.
See? Read that again, brother.
Verse 13.
Uh-huh.
And all thy children.
And all thy children
shall be taught.
Shall be taught.
Of the Lord.
Of who?
Of the Lord.
Of the Lord. Read.
And great shall be the peace of thy children.
See, because if they are taught by the Lord, they taught these laws, statutes, and commandments, they're going to have peace. They're not going to be out there wanting to kill their brothers and sisters. They're going to have admiration and respect for their brothers and sisters because they're going to start caring about themselves. And once they start to caring about themselves, it gives them an opportunity to start caring for others. But when you don't care for yourself, when you haven't taught how valuable you are, when you haven't been taught how God chose you, when you haven't been taught that you are the best thing that God ever created, then you what? You walk around with your head down, you're sagging your britches, and you have hate in your heart for your brother and your sister. But read that again, my brother.
Isaiah chapter 54, verse 13.
Uh-huh.
And all thy children shall be taught of the Lord.
Read, all thy children shall be taught of the Lord.
And great shall be the peace of thy children.
See, because God is what? God is the God of peace. You see what I'm saying? They're going to be taught by God. And when they're taught by God, they have a calming and soothing spirit. It is the spirit that quickeneth. The flesh profiteth nothing. The words that I give you, they are spirit and they are life. 6 and 63. See? John 6 and 63. So we got to start to understanding what is going on, what has been procrastinated against the children of Israel. That's like I say, you got to know how to be able to maneuver in Esau's kingdom. That's the only way that we're going to be able to make it, Israel. We got to know how to maneuver. Read.
Colossians chapter 3, verse 20.
Read.
Children, obey your parents in all things.
Wait a minute. They say children do what?
Obey your parents in all things.
You don't tell me what to do. I do what I want to do. Read.
For this is well pleasing unto the Lord.
It's well pleasing to my buddies.
Unto the Lord.
It is well pleasing unto who, sister?
Unto the Lord.
Read that again.
Colossians chapter 3, verse 20. Children, obey your parents.
Children, obey your parents. Why? Because your parents are supposed to be the role model. Your parents are supposed to be the one that teach you, thus says our God, Yahweh. Read.
In all things.
In all things.
For this is well pleasing unto the Lord.
For this is pleasing in the eyes of our God. Teach your children how to please God by having respect for you, by you not doing anything for them to lose respect for you. Don't bring your children angry. See, always keep yourself in the way that you're supposed to be, because you know what? They might be watching you when you don't see them watching you. And you got to continue to be the way that they always see you in order to be able to be effective in your teaching. You see, you can't be a cigarette smoker and then telling your children not to smoke. You can't be out there puffing on the blunt and tell your children not to smoke weed. You can't be drinking every day. You turn around, they see you drinking, but you're telling them not to. They're not going to deal with it. They're not going to listen to you because you're not showing them the correct way. You're not showing them right. Read.
1 Samuel chapter 1, verse 27 and 28. For this child I prayed,
For this child I pray.
and the Lord have given me my petition, which I asked of him.
You see, whatever that woman had asked God of, she gave it to him because she was what? She evidently she was doing what she was supposed to have been doing on teaching her children. Read.
Therefore, also I have lent him
That's during the holy times. Read.
to the Lord as long as he liveth.
See, he gave him to the Lord for as long as he lived. Read.
He shall be led to the Lord
6 weeks. For however long he lived. Holy days. No matter what it is. I'm lent him to the Lord. Read on, brother.
And he worshiped the Lord there.
He's worshiping the Lord to the day he died. He's worshiping the Lord. You see, he's a prize. He's one that has made his parents proud as well as God, the Most High. See, there is a reward for doing right, for teaching right, for loving right. See, a lot of people say, well, I don't beat my child. I love my child. That means you hate your child. Because if you put that strap on him every now and then, I guarantee you, when he get older, he's going to say, my parents love me. You know what I'm saying? That's what's happening. Because it teaches them to teach their children and their children's children. This is a heritage that has to be done. That's going to go on as long as they keep generating. Read.
Deuteronomy chapter 11, verse 19.
Read, sister.
And ye shall teach them your children, speaking of them,
Read.
when thou sittest in thine house.
When you sit down in the house, teach them. Don't have them, like I say, don't be letting them watch TV, play video game, always on the cell phone and all that stuff. Teach them these laws, statutes, and commandments. Read.
And when thou walkest by the way.
And when thou walkest all wherever it is they go.
When thou liest down. And when thou risest up.
No matter what the situation is, where you are, or what's going on, you got to keep these things on your mind. That's why parents have to diligently take time to teach, where our children will understand and they will know how to make these right decisions, where they will know how to do the things that make God proud of them. Don't you want to make your children proud? Don't you want God to look at them and give them long life? Don't you want God to give them good success throughout their life? Well, then show some love to your children and start teaching them what thus says the Most High. Read.
3 John chapter 1, verse 4. Have no greater joy than to hear that my children walk in truth.
It say, I have no greater joy than to hear that my children walk in truth. You see what it says? Read that, brother. I want to see if Israel caught this. Read.
3 John chapter 1, verse 4. I have no greater joy.
I have no greater joy
than to hear. Somebody had to be seeing that your children activity was. And they what? You found out because you heard that it was no greater joy than what, my brother? Read. I have no greater joy than to hear that my children walk in truth.
What is the truth? The law, statutes, and commandments. I have no greater joy than for somebody to tell me that my children are living the way that they're supposed to, that my children are keeping the law, statutes, and commandments, that my children are obeying the voice of God. See, that's a reward. That makes a parent feel fantastic. Subscribe to our YouTube channel, huh?
Somebody had a last question.
What is it?
It is Revelations chapter 1, verse 13 and verse 15. symbolic or literal?
It's factual. We're going to read that before we go. It's factual.
Is it 13 through
It's not symbolic. It's not literally. I mean, it's literally, not figuratively. You see? And that's what the Bible is saying. From verse 13, it say, and in the midst, this is John, the Revelator, this is John. He's saying, and in the midst of the 7 candlesticks, one like unto the Son of Man, clothed with a garment down to the foot, and girts about the paps with a golden girdle. His head and his hair were white like wool. So, who has hair like wool? Is it the white man? Is it the Chinese man? Is it the Arab man? Or is it the so-called black man? As white as snow. And his eyes were like a flame of fire. Why was his eyes like a flame of fire? Because when we look at the book of Genesis, chapter 49 and verse 12, it tells you that his eyes were red with wine, because Christ drunk wine, but he drunk it in moderation. Have you ever noticed, like you have an uncle or whoever it is in the family, that they may drink wine and their eyes may get red? That's why. And it says, and had eyes were as a flame of fire, and his feet like unto fine brass. What color is brass? If you get a penny, that's just about what brass. It's a derivative of brown. Okay? It say as in like unto fine brass, as if they burned in a furnace. So if you take that penny and you toss it into a furnace and you bring that penny out and that penny cool off, what color is that penny? Or if you burn anything in an oven, what color is it going to come out if you burn it? It's going to come out black.
That's right.
So our God, our Savior, Yahweh Shah, he's right here. He is a so-called black man. He is a so-called black man from the tribe of Judah.
That's right.
When we look at the book of Hebrews, chapter 7 and 14, it'll tell us that. If we want further proof, we can go to the book of Daniel 7 and 9. We can go to Daniel chapter 10. It'll tell us about what color our God is, as well as his son. You see, our God is a so-called black man. He looked just like you, Judah. He looked just like you. Give us a thumbs up. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. And with that, we say, Shalom, Israel.